guys out there?
Oh, there we are.
There we are.
All I hear is the music.
Yeah, we're grooving. Woo. Yeah, all right. I'm gonna pull that music out as well. Boom, boom, boom. Boom. All right. Good morning. How are you guys?
Good morning.
Good. How are you?
It's a little early well, not too terribly early, I guess, in Arizona time. It's about 8 o'clock there. Is that right?
Yes.
Yep.
All
8 o'clock.
We got
Yep.
a morning coffee, morning brew. Cheers. All right.
Got the New Orleans Cup.
Beauty. Elizabeth is not drinking coffee, though. I don't know what
She is not.
she's drinking. High energy, like
Could
She's
be
addicted to
booze.
Celsius.
Could be energy drink. Could
oh,
be
could be
anything.
booze. All right. Well, hey, folks. Thank you for joining us today. And let me get our chat going here. Thanks for joining us today on Hot Off the Press. I am Randy, the news guy, obviously. Hey, and while you're at it and just getting started, please like, follow, subscribe, all of those stuff, whatever platform you're watching on, certainly would appreciate it. We've got really a couple of my favorite people on the show today. And I don't know, I probably pestered Terry, I don't know how many times Terry, come be on my show, would you, man? I don't know. And he's always willing. This time I said, hey, though, bring your better half, would you? Because it'll make it a little more exciting. Yeah. And so
Yeah, she definitely brings a different dynamic than just you and I. That's for sure.
Yes. All right. So I've got the wonderful dynamic duo, Team Samuels here, Terry and Elizabeth. And well, they're in Arizona, founders of Salterra Digital Services, and amongst other things that they do. And they have 5 wonderful children. We can see there. Yes,
There they
there
are.
they all are. There they all are. Yeah.
You guys
And
look at the kids, not me.
yeah, I've met a handful of them, not all of them. I met a few of them anyway. So super glad to have you on the show. We've got a few. We'll say some howdy hi's to some folks. Nerdy, good to see you. Pamela, hey, thanks for joining us again. My man Joe from Loud Egg. Nice. Good to see you. Thanks. Long time no see. We were just doing this very same thing yesterday at about not even barely 12 hours ago, but here we are again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was fun yesterday.
Yeah. Elizabeth, you're making me car sick, I think.
Sorry. Sorry, you want to see the kids, but it's kids or me. Kids or me. You pick.
All right.
We both got new cameras, so we're both trying to figure out all the different settings for the camera.
Oh, it is crazy with new cameras. I've just kind of changed up my setup really over in the last several weeks and kind of fine tuning it a little bit. So I have this Insta360 is what I use for a camera. Are you familiar with that? That's the one that I have it frozen so it doesn't follow me around completely, but it generally like follows you like wherever you're going. So if I'm moving around, which I thought was kind of cool, but sometimes it can be a little annoying. So
yeah, we got the Luminas. That's what Clint recommended. And so it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It does the same thing. Think they call it the camera mode or some camera editor mode or something that'll follow you. I didn't really like it just because I kind of tend to jerk around too much when I'm on these things.
Yes, he does.
I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to sit there and be straight and not rock back.
Yeah. Kind of bounce around. I know. I kind of do the same. I like usually go, back and forth. I sometimes jog around, but yeah. And then I just started this week. I put a light in front of me, and So you can tell that's off, that's on, gives me a little better. But then somebody said, like, yeah, I could see the reflection on your glasses sometimes when you're looking up. I'm like,
Oh, I
well,
see that now. Now that you say
yeah,
so.
Yeah,
well,
my glasses are the same way, and I
well,
paid extra for that anti-reflective that
I know
didn't
it. I
didn't
know it.
work.
So, well, let me see. I'm gonna pop this up. Let me sharing. I want to give you a little kudos here. So, Terry, and I don't Terry, I just saw this page, actually the other day, yesterday or something like that. I don't know. Elizabeth, do you have a fun page like that as well for you on the Salterra page?
No, I do
Because
not have a fun page for me. I need one.
man, I got to tell you, this is really impressive. It made me think like, geez, I need to get a page like this for myself on my site.
Well, it was funny. Dixon Jones and I were in Dallas at Rockstars a couple years ago, 3 years ago,
Yeah,
and we were talking about ranking for SEO speaker or speakers. And so he was already ranking because of all the stuff he's done with
yeah.
InLinks and Majestic and everything. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll try the same thing. So I went out, I got me a GMB, for and I went out and started building this. I mean, it's pretty cool. I mean, I'm not up there on the first page yet, but
I
I'm
didn't
getting
even
there.
notice that. So this GMP
Yeah.
you've created. Ah,
So,
wow.
but yeah, so it's like a fun little, not really a test, but a fun little extra thing. So,
So are
I
are
do
you
get requests to speak a lot, and so I kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
send them this page as part of the stuff Elizabeth put together.
Well, I will tell you, so, if you search so I searched, Terry Samuels Solterra, and this is the page that pops up for that, so,
That's cool. Yeah,
yeah,
it
yeah,
works. So it's
yeah,
yeah, it's like I said, it was a funny thing. Dix and I were just
yeah,
joking around, having a
yeah,
drink, and
yeah,
and I was like, okay, well, I'll go ahead and do this. And so it was like the
yeah,
first thing I did when we got back was built this page.
and
Well,
so
but then
you
you were talking with Craig and DC Glenn about your IMDb. You actually have an IMDb. We just haven't built it
yeah,
out.
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Oh,
Yeah,
I've got a great IMBD, DB, whatever the sequence is. I have one of those as well. I've got some fun stuff that I've built out. So I've subscribed, and I think, by the way, so folks, if you're listening, it is a great link from a profile standpoint. So when people are searching you and your name or whatever, it always pops up on the first page. And what I did was I subscribed to like their pro subscription for like 2 months or whatever, and then I just built it out, and then I'm like, okay, get it. And but it leaves everything though as you're building out your profile.
hmm
Um, and yeah, it's a nice link, real nice link.
yeah. I
Um,
didn't know it. I didn't know anything about it until we met DC, and DC did
yeah,
his presentation about it, and or part of it, and I was like,
yeah,
oh wow, look. And then I think I got it either from you, one of your podcasts, or one
yeah.
from forgive me, brain farted here. Um, Andre, was it the guy Dre?
Oh yeah,
Um,
Oh,
Paul Andre.
yeah,
Yeah,
Paul Andre. So, but yeah, it's I don't know, it's pretty cool. We still got to get in. I guess we can do a bunch of optimization to the page and stuff.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah, no, I'm one of the
Well,
many surprises in this business.
yes. Well, it is a good reminder. So for any of you folks, if you're listening, if you do a podcast, I think even if you've got like a YouTube channel, I think you can
Mhm.
kind of promote it like that as well. As a director, as a writer, content creator kind of thing. So yeah, so you should folks go invest and go look into the IMDb or BD. I don't know. I can never keep
Yeah.
the
It
D
was
and the
interesting.
B
DC
straight.
even
So
talked about he even talked about the don't go out and use this thing as trying to hire, or you don't make your profile all about SEO and marketing. And
yeah, yeah,
he
yeah,
said
yeah.
he's
No,
had
don't
turned
do that.
people off in that group. He said
Yeah,
just produce content and your
yeah,
content will get out there. And
yeah, yeah. It's
so that
kind
was
of the
a good
same.
advice.
Yeah, it's kind of the same principle around a knowledge panel. You can't, I don't think you'll ever really score if you take the approach that you're SEO or digital marketer. You've got to take it a different route. Like,
Mhm.
speaker, possibly, or
Yeah.
entertainer, or business entrepreneur is a good one. I know a lot of guys that have gone that route to chase. So,
Yeah, for
um,
sure.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's good. All right. Well, welcome. So I'm going to throw this question out there and say what's up. I know what's up, and you guys are dreadfully busy with it. And I do want to talk, and I've got some interesting questions. But aside from SEO spring training, what else is going on in the world of Team Samuels?
Is there really anything else?
I yeah, that's a
Right,
darn good
right now,
question.
today, it's pretty much all SEO spring training.
Yeah,
Especially getting, the last 30 days is when everything, especially the perfectionist that Elizabeth
yeah,
is, and I'm kind of getting there is, just making sure everything's in place, making sure, last year we were like up until days before we got our badges, just little stuff like that that you kind of
right,
have to make
right,
sure that all the boxes are checked. And,
right.
um, but yeah, it's a exciting time for sure. And then on the Solterra side, we've basically just this year revamped our entire sales process and our content process.
Mm.
So
Really?
on
Wow.
Solterra side, it's freaking crazy. So,
Nice.
but
Well,
yeah,
but
so we figured,
also, I want to jump in and talk about SEO University
yeah,
because we've been pushing you for a long time. Like you have this like wealth of knowledge in your like big brain here, and the way you teach and the way you understand SEO, I think is a little different. You're
Mm.
very in depth, very thorough. I know I've gone through the class twice, and I'll be honest, that's too much work. I don't want to do it.
I love
But
it. That's too much.
it's
Uh,
too much. Like it's a lot. Like I don't think people really understand the depth and breadth of what he does with SEO
yeah,
and the course. Like we've had a couple of testimonials of people going through the course and they are just blown away
yeah,
because he doesn't hold anything back. He shares everything. It's very interactive because it's like a Zoom call so that you can ask questions in the middle. It's not like watching a video where you're like, wait, stop. I don't understand. He'll totally stop and say, okay, well, da 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 da, and break it down. And I just think that from a learning standpoint, holy cow, that's
mm.
awesome.
Wow.
yeah,
You're a
it's a,
big
it's
fan,
a
huh?
lot. It's one of the funnest things I've ever done.
You're
So
so funny. Yes, I know. Like it's crazy because obviously we're married, we've been together forever, da 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 da, and that's great. But I'm very impressed with his knowledge and what he does and how he does it. So, I mean,
Well,
yes,
one of the
it's
biggest thing I
fun.
think one of the biggest things that we all struggle with, especially as we're building our brand, whether it's personal or business, is, you know, um, what do getting it, what do we want to do with it? I've always
Mm,
loved to teach. This
mm.
industry was a little bit different when we were flipping houses and stuff. I used
Yeah,
to teach
yeah,
all the time. This industry was a little bit different because you have people in all different kinds of spectrums and scales of different things. And I had people bugging me. We used to do mentorship, or I used to do some mentorship before COVID. But that was more of, it was really just kind of building my own little network thing going. And then when we decided to do SEO University, it was a whole new wake up thing. It was actually one of the most exciting things I've done in 14 years of this business is,
mm,
actually put this class together. I didn't want to
mhm,
do a course. I'm
mhm,
not a big course person. But I wanted to do a class. I wanted to price it to where people had to take it seriously. You know,
right, right,
I wasn't going to price it for $500 and have everybody 9 out of 10 people don't do what you teach. That wasn't going to be the situation.
right,
But
right, right.
it is one of the coolest things that I've done. We're getting ready to do our fourth one after the conference in April.
Mm,
So yeah, it is a lot of fun. I love teaching people. This last one, not only did I get to teach people, but I'm one of the agencies brought people into this. One of the agencies that I work with, so it was pretty cool.
mm,
And yeah, so and Clint and we teach a schema class through this. Haven't talked to Clint to see when the next one's going to be. Probably sometime in April too.
mm,
But that's like a 1 week thing. It's just Clint and I teaching advanced schema and how we
right.
do it and all the stuff about it. And all that.
I
Anyways,
love it.
not sorry to kind of
Yeah.
sidetrack there, but
No, I dig it. I think that's great. SEO. I don't know why my thing is. Yeah.
It's showing.
It well, yeah, it's showing, but I was pasting the URL in the chat, and it's not for whatever reason it's not showing up in the chat. Yeah, so SEO University. So you got that rolling. You say you're coming up with a new. You're going to launch another session coming up
yeah,
soon,
another
probably.
session. I think it's going to be the third week, and we're just getting ready to announce it here in the next few
Oh yeah,
days. But I think it's third week in April. It's every Tuesday. It's 2 hours every Tuesday, and then Friday.
right.
Every Friday we have a FAQ Ask Me Anything Friday afternoons.
How many weeks, Terry?
It's a 6 weeks, and then we keep a bonus week. So actually, today is our seventh week of the third class. So
Nice.
this bonus week is just I asked people what they wanted to talk about or ask me about, and we're actually teaching press releases today and
Nice.
how to use press releases.
Nice.
Oh, maybe you get
So
a guest speaker. I wonder who that could be.
Beautiful.
so
Nice. Yeah. Um, so, well, I have to applaud you. I've got a lot of questions kind of wanted to roll at you here, kind of around this somewhat. But congrats on this because I know you put a lot of work into this, and I'll be a big fan of you. I'll rave just like well, probably I can't rave as well as Elizabeth does, but I know you do have a wealth of knowledge, and I always appreciate and enjoy when I have the opportunity to hear you present at conferences because it never fails. I walk away with like that is really smart. This is great. Love seeing you do this thing. Um, you talked about, and I've had some interesting conversations with folks over the last several weeks and I'm going to do a little plug as well. I think I first started having this conversation. So, Craig Campbell, Holly Starks, and I have launched a show. We do it Mondays. Uh, well, it's at noon Eastern time. Craig always schedules it because he's out there in Scotland. And so I have no idea what the hell time it is out there. Um, but it is at 12 Eastern time. Now it may change because when the time changes. So like we are going to be flipping our time forward in an hour. I don't you guys don't, right? So
we're special.
yeah, so
We get confused every 6 months.
well I'm going to be confused even then. So like come Sunday it's going to be like if it's say it's 10:19 right now, but come Sunday it'll be 11:19. So will you guys will still so we'll be 3 hours ahead of
Yeah,
Arizona at that time. So yeah,
yeah,
so I
we're
don't know.
3 hours.
I'm already confused. Um so anyway, so back to so join Holly, Craig, and I Mondays at noon Eastern or whenever, um, uh, whenever it is your time. Um, the we started having this conversation on the show a few weeks ago, which was about building brand, right?
Mhm.
About building a personal brand. See this dang camera? I think it like shifted all on its own somehow. Yeah. But anyway, about building a personal brand and how to do it. What were some steps? What would be the practical kind of steps to go forward and do something like that? Hey, good morning to you. And in your thought, because you've been in the business for a long time and you've thought about, okay, well, how do I approach it? Do I want to do just client work? Am I doing, um, uh, you know, putting yourself out there as a speaker. Now you've got right um, the university, which I love that approach to it versus just a course. And I love that because I like talking with people, so I'm much more of like, hey, let's get online and let's talk.
Yeah.
I agree on that. Um, But thinking about your approach and thinking about building a personal brand, because I know that some of what you have been, doing as well, putting focus on that, like building that personal brand. What has been your approach? And I think the things that you would say, here are the important things that you probably need to keep in mind when doing it.
I think the biggest thing for us is, I mean, obviously we started building Salterra brand, and
Nice.
that's our family brand. So,
Right.
one of the things, and there's certain things that reason I like. I mean, when I started link building, I'm not a big link builder. We do link building, but I'm not like a go-to person for backlink information. But I always knew that you could do backlinks with a brand attachment. So you could do keyword brand, you could just do brand, you could do all this stuff. Early on through testing, we learned that every image should have the brand name in the title, and so there's certain things that you had to do. And at one point, we decided, okay, well, Salterra is doing good as a brand. It's not best because there's two other Salterras, which which okay, whatever. There's a mattress store in Europe and some hotel thing. Anyway, so when we decided to start doing the personal brand along with Salterra, attaching the two together, that was a little bit interesting because now, it was all about, personal testimonies, and getting out there about, hey,
Right.
don't just give me a, Salterra, Salterra review, but give me one about, Terry or Elizabeth or
Right.
whatever.
Right.
And then I started following people like Adam, who's going to be speaking at SEO Spring Training. He's
Adam
on.
Cronister.
No, it was McChesney.
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 Okay. Yeah. All right.
He's
Sorry, Adam Cronister.
Yeah. I wish Adam could come. One of our good friends. But he really dives into personal brand, and it goes multifaceted. So the nice thing about a personal brand is that
Mm.
if Terry Samuels decides to do something different, whether it be, buying another business, something maybe
Right. Right.
outside of, the internet marketing space, then that you kind of just build an umbrella. So when we first started doing Salterra's brand, Salterra owns a bunch of other stuff. So it's like the top of the umbrella. So
Right. Right.
when we started thinking about, monetizing me, it's a hard thing to make a decision to even do. It's kind of selfish. What do you mean monetize me? I've had people say that I'm an influencer. What the hell's an influencer? I'm not
Yeah.
an influencer. Yeah.
I
I mean,
don't
I'm
know.
just like, I'm well, up until recently, I was pretty brutal with social media. So if I am an influencer, it's wrong direction. But I think, but I think the thing about building up Terry Samuels is that now if I go and say, hey, I want to buy this company, and put this underneath the umbrella. So now we're at the stage though we're figuring out legality wise LLCs or however we're going to do this. Do we still keep everything under Salterra, or do we kind of branch out to a second piece? I've always been a big fan of multi income streams, like a lot of self-employed
Mhm.
people.
Mhm.
Put all your eggs in one basket, you get a COVID hit and lose 41
Sure.
clients in a month.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing is that when you do decide to go down that track, that it's consistency, and so, Salterra still does Salterra stuff, but the stuff that I do, like I try to get all the recordings from all the stuff I speak on, try to build up. I just started
Mm.
building up my YouTube channel. Matter of fact,
Right.
I don't remind people to subscribe, which you're super good at. So,
Oh, I'm
and that's
not that great at it. It's taken me like 6 months to remember, and then finally Craig
exactly.
was like, "Dude, you gotta tell people to subscribe and like and do that shit. Otherwise, it's not good,"
Exactly, and I even yesterday, I didn't even mention it yesterday. So, but I do think it's an important thing. I think the future of marketing in general is, and I don't think it's any different than it was back in print days. It's all about the
Right.
brand. You know, I just think you have different ways to go about it nowadays.
Yeah.
So,
I do think
um,
as well that in the age of AI, that real humans and real human content is going to be more sought after and more revered because there is going to be so much other AI kind of pollution. You don't know what is what for sure and what
mhm.
is real and what is honest or truthful, I think. And, obviously people can listen and interact with whoever they want to. And determine whether that information is truth or not. But we were talking on the other yesterday, and I'm like, oh, when what is it, Solar, the video AI, when that
Mhm.
is out, I'm like that because all of a sudden I think it's going to be exactly like what you see on Google right now, which was like just crazy pages out there ranking for stuff that's don't know anything about it. And I think, well, that's what's going to end up happening with YouTube. All of a sudden, it's
Mhm.
just going to be completely a polluted platform with AI stuff. But I'm
Yeah, I
have
think
been a
I
firm,
think YouTube's got some interesting things getting ready to happen to it. I agree
yeah,
100%.
yeah,
So,
yeah. But I'm a big believer, and this is why about a year ago that I as well said I need to start thinking about building the brand and kind of a bit of a personal brand. And I'm taking a little bit of my little bent, right, with Randy the news guy because of our press release services, but because I think ultimately in the long term that will be a benefit. So, and I know there's different folks that are listening or watch the show that and I would encourage you, like Joe at Loud Egg, dude. I think he's a prime candidate of like he could carve out and become a brand, and obviously you've got your you're thinking about that, and Terry, you've done this well, and I'm trying to, I guess, but you've got to have something to share, right? You've got to
mhm.
land on like I do have a certain level of knowledge or experience that I can share that I think is beneficial to folks. And I think, you make those determinations, figure out what that is, what you want to stand on, and then you can kind of go from there. But yeah,
Well,
I'm,
and I do think it's, I mean, a lot of people talk about niching down. Well, there's different phases of niching down. You niche down and niche down in industry. You
yeah,
can niche down in knowledge, which I think is the most important thing to niche down. The most
right,
successful SEOs out there, they're very good at one part of SEO. They're not
right,
they're not masters of all of it. They've got other people around them that are.
right,
But that's a big thing to make sure that it took me a while to figure it out. I mean, I especially around the link building side, I fought that for a long time just because I've always thought I'm an old HTML CSS guy. So I'm all about content. I'm all about internal link, interlinking and all this other stuff that's even more important now than ever. But when I
yeah,
started going down the link track, I started, and back when I started, there wasn't anybody I could really follow. I followed Brad and Matt Callan. I did Whiteboard Friday with Rand Fishkin,
oh
so
wow,
that's how I kind of got my feet wet when I really started. I fought SEO for a long time. I didn't want to do this. I liked coding. I liked the building websites, but WordPress was kicking my butt because people were building a website in a weekend where it was taking me 6 weeks and costing $5,000 to $10,000, and people were doing it for $400. So
right,
but when I did get into SEO, that because I am a technical guy, I started figuring out, yeah, backlinks are super important. I think, but you've got to have a strategy around that. So when I started becoming friends with Clint and Craig Campbell, and talk about a brand person, Craig Campbell probably taught more about building a personal brand than anybody.
oh yeah,
I mean, when he did his talk, forget it might have been our conference where he did the talk about his actor persona that he's
right,
built a
right,
brand around his actor
yeah,
stuff. That was super cool. That was like light bulb over my head type of thing. And so when you look and find people, and so one of the things I love about this conference and most conferences is that my network is massive. If I need to find out something
right,
about a
right,
new link strategy, or something I watched a video on that kind of makes sense and I need to double check it with people, I've got people all over the world I can reach out to, you
yeah,
know, and I don't do it lightly. I mean, I paid Craig Campbell for an hour of his time. I don't know if I needed to pay Craig for an hour of his time, but I wanted to find out some stuff about affiliate marketing because I was diving into affiliate marketing real deep.
yeah,
So
yeah,
And that's what I think, it happens when you start going through that process.
And one of the things with you is you do respect people's time.
Mhm.
You're not going to just try to leech off of, spill all your secrets, tell me everything you know, and then rip them off. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
use your powers for good.
Exactly.
Well, yes, Terry, you're great at that. Both of you are actually, as well. I did have this flashed up there, Laudig, Joe. It's important these days. Get your face out there. Google is rewarding real. That's a
Yeah.
mouthful, but yes, I completely agree with that. I do want to talk, and we're going to get to SEO spring training because obviously, when I ratchet that thing up. AI. So we had a really interesting. So, folks, if you didn't get a chance, go over to Terry, or is it on Salterra? Where is that? What we did yesterday, is that hosted on the Terry Samuels
Yeah,
YouTube
it's all
channel?
over
Or is
the
it on
place. Yeah.
Salterra? All right. So we had a great opportunity. I had the opportunity to talk with Terry and Elizabeth and Clint and Andrew Ainsley. He's got a name that I can't think of the
We
other
just
one.
call him Andrew.
Yes, and talking about AI, and he's got a great new program out there, Content Sprout. So folks, you can go check that out if you haven't seen that yet. And I wanted to ask you more about AI. So, how are you guys engaging in AI within your kind of day-to-day operations, and uh, whether it's content or other kinds of things that you're doing?
We're doing a lot. We're doing a lot of stuff on the writing side. We're not doing hardly anything on the image side. Matter of fact, that's one of the things that we've talked to our new content team about, now starting to look at doing some image stuff. But I think the biggest thing, we got on board the content side of AI early on.
Mm.
Elizabeth and I actually went to a conference in Florida, Master Chat GPT in a weekend or something like that. Biggest waste of money conference I ever went to. But it was just a pitch fest. Every speaker had a pitch, and I mean, it
Love it.
was just really sad. But
Let me tell you, folks,
but
you're going to get the truth right here, man. This is it. We're
exactly,
laying
yeah,
it down.
I'll tell you if it's worth it or not. But one of the things, obviously, I'm there at a chat, so I got to play with Chat GPT during this conference. I had nothing else to do. I mean, I was there to do Chat GPT. I'm playing with Chat GPT, so
Sure.
I learned early on that the way to make, especially Chat GPT, obviously, there's a lot more now, make ChatGPT relevant is to introduce it to the brand, introduce it to the person. And I did a
Mm.
whole thing on, did a whole presentation at
Mhm,
SEO
mhm.
Rockstars. And so when we started testing that, and we, especially with some of our legal clients or some of our medical clients, hey, what is the quality of this writing? We did it through Chat GPT, this personalization. It basically has 20 questions that it asks you for about the brand, about your competitors, about your target market, your growth, all that stuff. And the very first person we sent it to, we did 30 articles, and we sent it to one of our clients, and we put it through Grammarly Pro afterwards. We're not automated content by any means. It still has to have the human touch.
Right.
But anyways, we sent 30 articles to this client, and he wrote back, he goes, we made 0 changes. 3 of us in our staff made 0 changes. And
Mm.
this is awesome. And so I shared with them the Chat GPT link so they could also use it within their business, so we can be using the same
Right.
personalization for that project. And so that kind of revolutionized. I was like everybody else. I was spending thousands a month on content. I mean, I just had content, I was just content heavy because I've always been
Right.
content heavy. But
Well, and I think our content team was bigger than our development team at that point.
exactly. And now I've actually hired my content team full time, converted them into more editors, but thinking editors,
Right.
So one of the things I love about Chat GPT, especially when you personalize it around a brand and then you get into services and keywords and stuff like that, is you can write about entities, semantic terms, LSIs. You can include all this stuff in your articles, and it makes sense. We all knew back then you never hire a content writer about, hey, write it about this keyword only and include these keywords. It doesn't sound like good writing. So I think AI has introduced us to that possibility of saying, hey, we can include that stuff. It's just a giant scraping machine up until you make it personal. But and we're constantly testing it. I've got entire websites that are AI. I've got some of Solterra sites AI. So I've got one project we went through and completely redid all the titles, descriptions, and H1s with AI. So so there's some certain things that we are constantly testing. I'm a huge test guy. That's like number one thing. It's my biggest priority.
So a question, are you relying more on your own custom crafted prompts and series of prompts versus tools?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
I said this yesterday, is that I think in this age of AI, and especially in the content where any of this stuff that we're doing at this point, that the prompt itself, I think, is the master currency. I mean, there
Yeah.
are all of these tools out there, and they're doing stuff, and they're going to produce an end product for you. But really, on the back end, underneath it all,
Mhm.
essentially, it's just creating prompts in order to run through these GPTs, through these AI iterators. And so I think, yeah, if you're doing your own custom prompts, I would see
Mhm.
like you're going to produce something that's, I'm guessing, this is my theory, probably a bit more unique than what
Mhm.
you're going to find out there otherwise that's being generated through some of these tools. Um,
Well, think about it. If you want a better answer, ask a better question.
Yeah,
yes,
that's
yes, exactly.
prompting.
Yes,
So,
yes,
and we're really learning that on the image side. The image
yeah,
side is super prompt heavy.
yeah. Well, I'm horrible at
There's,
that. I don't even mess with that on the
I mean,
image
it's
side.
just that's what I when I'm sitting down on the couch
Yeah,
watching TV at night, I'm playing with prompted images and going, "Oh god,
yeah,
that's ugly." It didn't
yeah.
even
I don't.
it didn't even get half of what I thought in my
Yeah.
brain.
So I'm kind of curious then, Terry, because now you can do your own custom GPTs, right? So
Mhm.
and build. So are you, or have you, I guess, when you're talking about introducing your brand to GPT, have you gone and created essentially like and I'll just use, Solterra as the example. Have you created a Solterra custom GPT so that
Mhm.
it's trained on your brand, and so then you can go in and ask it to, like, hey, give me a LinkedIn post about this particular, and it's going to do it because through Solterra voice, because you've trained it. So you've created these custom GPTs, brand focused, I guess, is
Yeah, and
right.
now even brand service focused. So
Mm,
Solterra has multiple
mm,
prompts, or
mm,
prompt project. We call them projects. So if I need to write about web design, I go to the Solterra web design
right,
project
right,
and I reintroduce it. I ask it to give me a summary since the beginning of this chat. So it's really good at reminding itself now, especially in the last couple iterations.
right,
And then yeah, so that was one of the biggest things we learned first off too, especially a company like Solterra. The these prompts get or these chats get so big they start to slow down.
right.
So we take the initial information we have about the brand, and now we just use that for all the services. So if I need to
Mm,
do articles about
mm,
email blasts
right,
or
right.
SEO or web design, I go right to
Yeah.
that part, and
So
it's super awesome. So
yeah, I mean, it's so fascinating, this world that we live in right now, I think is just crazy. So, all
yeah.
right. Hey, folks, throw up any questions to Terry and Elizabeth
And
while
I've
you
only got
have it.
about 10 more minutes
Yes,
before I got
yes.
to
I
get to
want
my
to. I
class.
want to be
So,
sure to roll over to SEO spring training. So we've got. Let me throw this up on
and
the.
anyway, you guys can reach out to me if you guys got specific questions too.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
he's not busy. It's fine.
No, he's not busy at all. So here we do. We've got SEO spring training. I've got to hit up Chad. I got to get. I would die to have one of these images of me as the baseball player. I would love that.
Yeah, we'll get you one because you're a sponsor, so the sponsors are getting one.
Yeah. So I have a question for you. I mean, I've been amping up the conference because you guys do such a fabulous job with it. And so I've been ratcheting it up on all of my stuff for the last several months, actually. And I've had a number of the speakers over the last, I don't know, 6 weeks, that are going to be speaking at SEO Spring Training. They've been guests on the show because I wanted to kind of take that approach and kind of help build it up from that standpoint as well. Next week, I've got Travis Weathers
Nice.
on Hot Off the Press, which will be fun. Travis has been a longtime client of mine as well. And then I've got the week after that, I got Marty Marion coming on. So that is always going to be fun. Man, talking with him is like another, like I feel like I'm going back to university after I talk with him for an hour.
Yeah.
So, so you guys do a great, I can't even continue. Like, it's a great conference. People need to go to it. So aside from, see if you can separate yourself out a little bit from like, yes, SEO Spring Training is awesome. You guys as well go to a lot of conferences.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to ask a few questions as people are thinking like, should I go to conferences or not? Because I've had that thrown at me in the last couple of months as well. Why do you go to conferences? What is the value for you?
This just happened. Okay, so
Yeah.
this year, Elizabeth and I's goal is to 3 times our agency. So, and it's kind of what happened last year. Last year, I spoke at 12 events, and it was a lot. It was a lot of traveling, a lot of
That is a lot.
conferences. And I kind of lost focus of Solterra, you know. So this year, the goal is to do that. So I think the biggest thing about conferences, and here's the thing, is that if you go to a conference, make sure you're at the right point of your, whatever you call it, walk or whatever you want to do. Make sure you're at the right time in your life to go to this event. And why are you going? So
Mm,
I'm a big believer in conferences just because of the personal touch. Okay, anytime you can walk up to Honey Witcher and ask her about the stuff that Honey does, just she's amazing human anytime you can do that on a personal level, because Honey last year, her and Lee, I mean, we hung out at the fire pit till 1 in the morning, and there was like 20 of us, and that's what the gold is. That's what is
yeah.
so
Yeah.
awesome. So, but I've been to conferences. Elizabeth's been to conferences to where we thought it was going to be one thing and it wasn't. Learn Chat GPT in a weekend. Totally freaking backfired. So, but the nice thing was we traveled with the Rayburns, and we went to Disney and did some other stuff. So that was the bonus part of it. But it would, again, we went to a system, it kind of backfired to us. And so when we started looking at how people do conferences, we take the good and the bad from all of them. Obviously, the bad we don't do, the good we try to do better. Our big thing is value. That's our number one thing. If I was going to say, what is SEO Spring Training? I'm going to say value. You know,
Mhm.
and there's a few reasons why we say that is because we look at everything from the where's the venue going to be, what hotel, if it's going to be a hotel, how late the bar stays open, how good is the food, where are the networking areas, is there enough places, is it within walking distance to other stuff if people want to go out and do stuff. So that's the after effect of stuff. But the conference itself, this year we went 3 days instead of 2.
Right.
We also, I think we raised our prices like $150 to go 3 days. So again, we're bringing more value. This year also we're changing the format. So we're actually going to do morning sessions with certain people in the morning. And then, the catered lunch. And then after lunch, we're going to have mastermind breakout rooms. So if you want to go learn more about on page, go to the on page room. If you want to learn more about off page, go to the off page room. If you want to learn more about AI, go to the AI room. AI room. So we're making it more interactive, more fun. I'd say Simon Cornelius, one of my favorite people out there. He's a whiteboard guy. He's like me. He doesn't really do PowerPoint presentations. We do because the conferences we attend want those, but I would rather draw on a whiteboard. I would rather, explain something visually that way. And these rooms are going to be much smaller, so they're going to be, able to ask a question during this thing. I don't know, we're getting a lot of positive feedback on this new format, especially from the speakers. So
Good.
I think they're all excited about it. But that's the biggest thing is, we have been to a lot of conferences, and we still go back. SEO at the Beach just finished this last weekend. We weren't able to go this year, but we were involved the first 2 years. So rock stars, obviously, Craig Campbell did Digital Unfiltered. I hope they do that again in Vegas. So there's some great ones that we'll continue to go back to, but then there's other ones that we've went to that we'll probably never go back. And again, part of that could have been, maybe it was the wrong time of our walk, maybe it's the wrong time, maybe that conference would have been better next year or something because it was at a different focus. But, so yeah, I don't know. I probably went off on a little tangent. Elizabeth probably can explain it better, but I'm all about the value. Matter of fact, the Facebook group, the private Facebook group still does stuff when the conference is over.
Right.
So
well, that's a question I wanted to hit you up with as well, which is, I think you gave a great background as like what to do, how to get your mindset going to the conference, because I think that's critical, and I love that approach. But a question as well is, what do you do after a conference? What in your mind? There are things that I do specifically that I try to push myself on, but with you, what would you encourage people to do after conference?
I'm going to jump in on this one because one of the things we have found is going to a lot of events, a lot of conferences. Yeah, we're information junkies just like everyone else. You've got the shiny object syndrome. Like, oh my gosh, I've got this, I've got that. Well, after the event's over, real life happens. You get back into your routine and you lose sight of the excitement and the goals that you had when you were at the event. And so for us, one of the things that we value is after an event, like, we're not going to force you to be accountable. That's your own thing. But if you have questions and you want to reach out, Terry and I are always available, And so as far as that, we encourage like you guys to get to know the speakers. We have all of our speakers stay on property as much as possible because we want them to be accessible to the attendees. We don't ever really want the type of speaker that's just going to fly in for an hour and fly back out and you can't ever sit down and talk. We encourage, like he said, we let the hotel know, like, how long is the bar open? Are you going to be staffed? And, I've had some people say, oh, well, no, everyone's going to go to Old Town and they're going to do the nightlife there. And I said, no, I really don't think you understand my demographic. You don't understand my people. We stay on property. We hang out. We connect because we're all mostly introverts at heart, right? Because we're the tech geeks. And so we would rather sit and talk in a personal environment around the fireplace, 10, 15 of us. Well, what do you think about this? And what do you think about that? And so we want all of our speakers to be thoroughly integrated with all of the attendees. It's, I'm not going to throw out fancy names, but it's not fly in, fly out. Like that's not who we are. That's not what we bring to the table. So everybody gets value. I don't care what ticket holder place you are, everybody is treated like a VIP.
Yeah, I love
that. And we keep them kind of on the smaller side. I think we're, between 100 and 180 people. I mean, it's just, so, I've been to big conferences. I went to TNC. TNC was massive. I went there specifically to see one person. I got to see her, but I didn't get to meet her. She just disappeared afterwards. I was like, damn it. So, but again, I expected that. I didn't go in, I have to meet this person type of attitude. So, it was that type of an event. But it's one of the funnest things we do. We love putting these on, and we love doing our masterminds. throughout the year. But SEO spring trainings are kind of like our golden child. And we had over 100 people want to speak this year. That's massive to have that
That
many
is
people want to
crazy.
speak at a conference.
Yes, that is crazy.
So we've got a good list for next year.
Yeah, yeah. Well, one of the things that I do that I love to do, so I have one of these super notes that I use, a digital notebook. And so all throughout the conference, I've like got a page and I'm keeping notes on each of the speakers, right? And I'm like, ah, da, 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 da. And I kind of have my own little shorthand that I'm, making a note alongside. And then generally on my flight back, because these things are, I'm generally on a plane for 2 or 3 hours at least. I then go through all of my notes and then I make one master page that has all of the action items that I wanted to address. And then I get back to my office, I print out that one master list, and then I'm like, all right, let's hammer this out. And I really push myself to hammer it out in that first week because I know me, as soon as you get in, you get back into your routine or doing other stuff, all of a sudden becomes, percolates up. You kind of lose track. But if I know if I can if I can really bang through like as much of this as I can and implement on these great ideas in the first week, it really is drives like incredible value of why you go. Now I go for connection. I like to build the network. It's great for me on my press release business as well. But
Yeah.
I'm also like, I want to learn. I want to learn from Terry. He said this thing. This is perfect. I got to put this into action. And
yeah, matter of fact, it looks like I'm going to be teaching an on page in the mastermind. So that just happened yesterday. So I wasn't going to do that because I'd like to introduce people to other people, but I don't know. It's going to be a first time I spoke at my own conference.
Nice. Well,
anyways, guys, I have to run.
Yeah, I know you got to bust out of here. And
Elizabeth will stay on and answer all your questions about spring training. If you buy a ticket and you mention Randy's show, you get to go to a private dinner with Elizabeth and I on Friday night. So, and we're going to see if we can't bring some speakers and sponsors and stuff with us.
There we go. I love it. I hope I get to go to the private dinner with Elizabeth.
We'll probably have to do that. So anyways, thanks for having me, Randy.
All right,
I hate to have to bail, but
yep.
So
Appreciate
thanks again.
It, buddy. Have a good class. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know why I was trying to type in. So I think Elizabeth, I think I saw, let me type it in this way. Digital. Coupon code. And I think if my coupon code is still good, 38 digital.
Yes.
If you use that when you're buying your ticket, you're going to save $300.
Yes.
But what I've heard is that the coupon codes all expire at the end of this week. Is that right?
Yeah, at the end of this week. Well, I mean, I'm sure everyone knows, like putting on events, you've got, a lot of obligations up front that we have to meet. And so that's why we're encouraging people, do not wait till the last minute, And I understand life happens and everything falls in line the way it needs to. So, but we just have to make sure that we can provide that value.
Right. And with your conference as well, this is not one you want to kind of wait last minute either, because the NCAA basketball Final Four is in Scottsdale that same weekend, right?
Yeah, so we had something happen last night. The hotel block has closed. I'm going to reach out to him today to see if we can extend it a little bit longer. So with the hotel block that we got, it's $249 a night, and that's a DoubleTree in Scottsdale. So that's really nice hotel.
That's a great deal.
It's a great deal. All the rooms have like a private little balcony, and there's a restaurant on site. There's a little cafe with Starbucks on site. So, I mean, it's not basic. It's really nice. And then we just searched without the coupon code, and Friday and Saturday night, the rooms are over 500 a night. And I've seen other hotels in the area over 800 a night. So, again, for us providing value, I want to make sure my people are in at a good price.
Right,
So
right.
that's why I am going to try to extend the block this week, but
Yeah.
I do not encourage people to wait to the last minute because you'll pay.
Yes. Well, exactly. Or you might not even, or you'll be staying like an hour and a half away because
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can
I
only
don't want to
imagine that the
encourage all
rooms will
that
be.
Uber expenses, you know?
Yes, yes. So, yeah. Well, I'm really, really excited for the conference. It'll be the first one that I've gone to then this year that I've been able to get to. And I have to be honest with you, I actually don't even have anything firmly set for the rest of the year at this point. I think Craig and Chris are uh, planning to do digital unfiltered, but I haven't gotten the full like, oh yeah, man, it's on kind of thing yet. And I assume that SEO Rockstars will happen. I think I've heard that it's possibly in Dallas this year. So, I'd like to go to either of those or both of those, but yeah, otherwise, the only thing that I'm, like, confirmed on is that I bought the pre-purchase, TNC conference next January
Yeah,
back in Vegas, right? Because that was such a great deal on that ticket, so
right. And we're kicking it out there if we're going to offer the same thing, so, insider secrets. Um
Ooh,
but
heard it right here. Yes.
yeah, I know, right? So we're talking about it just
Yeah,
because like you said it was such a great deal, you couldn't really wait till the last minute. There's.
yeah,
And
yeah,
again, the value. But
the value.
I
Yeah,
think we may only have one thing scheduled for us to attend for the rest of the year. I haven't heard anything, and it's a little crazy. I know sometimes things pop up last minute, and people put on conferences without a
right,
whole lot of lead time. Well, for us, I'm telling you, the very second that spring training ended last year, we had a group meeting of our staff, and okay, what did we learn? What did
right,
we like? What did we not
right,
like? What do we need to make sure we address the next year? And I was off and running, starting to plan it. So,
right.
it's an ongoing, all the time planning thing. I'm not a last minute girl at all. It makes
Mm.
me insane. I'm definitely a planner.
Yeah, well, I'm a planner as well, and, yeah, and that's why kinda SEO at the beach kinda popped up with about, 4 or 5 weeks ahead of time. I'm like, my life I have 2 kids in high school, and my life doesn't work quite that fast, around school schedules and activities and such, so,
Well, even just
um,
my
yeah.
agency. I mean, yes,
Yes.
family, but
Yeah, yeah, aside from work, yeah, yeah, and I've saw a lot of great pics from that one. I'm sorry I missed that one, but yeah, it's hard, kinda the last minute stuff that may pop up, and so, yeah, well, listen, I'm super excited for this thing coming up here in a couple of weeks, and, I haven't traveled anywhere since, I think, well, TNC, I went to that in January and saw you
yeah.
guys there, so that was good, but I got so sick at that one. I was man, I was like, "Oh," and then unfortunately, I think you got super sick right after it as well. I
I
probably
I
gave it to
wasn't
you
too
at that
bad.
point.
I a little bit. My best friend keeps me hooked up on all the latest natural
Mm,
cures for everything.
good,
Um,
good.
so I do a lot of preventative, but I know Holly got really sick. I know
Yeah,
Simon got really sick. There was a whole group of people that
right.
really walked away with probably more than they bargained for from that event.
Yeah, yeah, it's not what I paid for.
Right.
Yeah, so, alright, well, I'm looking forward. I'm sure that we'll talk, before,
Yes.
I see you in Arizona. So, hey, thanks, and thanks again to Terry. Be sure to give him a big hug for me, for being on the show. Appreciate seeing you guys always.
Thank you. We appreciate being on it. We're happy to help support you.
Yeah.
Anything you need, let us know.
All right, love it. All right, and folks, next week, again, I got Travis Weathers from Rotate Digital, a massive marketing agency, and we'll hear some of the cool things that he is doing and growing his business and as an entrepreneur. So come check that thing out next week. Hot off the press every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern, regardless of the time change. It will still be at 10 a.m. Eastern. All right, Elizabeth, take care. We'll